sequence start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I live by the old code of second floor!
Why look for a scientific explanation when you can put blind trust in an invisible Sky Daddy?
Sky Daddy all the way.
Go watch your crappy sitcom! Turn up full volume, why don't you?
Aubrey, weird, I can't even get through my couch!
Welcome back. Welcome back to the Second Floor Experience podcast, everyone.
Oh.
You in it?
Yeah, I thought there was like a shadow, but it's just
It's just a light.
yeah. How was this week on your own, dude?
Not gonna lie, man. It was long. It was long. I am definitely thankful for this time just because it is so busy that like I almost don't even have time to think. Like I remember when we first when we first moved here, dude, it was like you guys were super involved with youth and I wasn't like fully integrated yet, like here.
Yeah.
And there was definitely some like crazy bored weekends when you guys were like doing other stuff. Honestly, yeah, like boredom is honestly worse for me than stress, I think.
Wait, what?
Boredom is like worse on
boredom.
me
Okay.
than stress. Like I start to like really spiral if I don't feel like I'm moving forward.
I think I'm with you on that. Yeah.
So
kind of
like
just makes you go crazy.
Yeah, and I really have to, like, my parents laugh at me because, like, I always am like trying to do a lot, you know, in their minds at least, and then I complain like when I am feeling stressed, and they're like, you know, you would be hating your life if you were bored.
Yeah.
Like, it's so true. But yeah, it has been a lot. For sure. And I missed you guys and wish I could have came and hung out. But honestly, dude, even if we weren't doing this whole other giant thing, like if I was just doing the fencing, it still would have been really tough, I think, to go.
Yeah.
Right. Like right now in March, for whatever reason, March is like, it's always like one of our biggest months of the year. And this month has been no different.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, it's getting hot.
It is getting hot, bro. Which is so crazy to think that it was cold in Florida while we were there.
Dude, right?
That is so weird.
So why don't you tell everybody where you just got back from?
Yeah, so I went on a camping trip with a few friends with my family in Florida. So we went to St. Petersburg, Florida, which is right on the Gulf of America, near Tampa. And we were there for a weekend. Well, we were there for a full week and we camped over the weekend. But yeah, so it was a good time. Some kayaking, a little time on the beach. It's good to see family.
Do you have like any time to contemplate while you were out there, or was it just like pure bliss and fun, one thing after another?
It was, for the most part, pure, just like, I mean, you know how it is.
Oh yeah.
Just like one thing after the next. But there was some downtime. There, like, on Saturday after we did kayaking, I was fried from the sun and like I was just dead tired from rowing all day long. And so then that night I went and like lay down in the hammock and you know how like when you get sunburned and like your skin, like your body just gets super hot, you know?
Yeah.
And then almost like a fever, but not really.
Yeah.
And then like the cool air started coming in, so then I just like did not feel good.
Ooh.
So we like, there's another campsite. So that the campsite we're at only has outdoor showers, and it has like one outlet for electricity. So you have to like, we run like extension cords all over the place. But if you want a hot shower, you can drive down to the nicer campground and use their bathrooms, and they have like hot showers. So the last night I went there and took like a 20-minute hot shower, just like sat there.
Dude.
And
Holy
yeah,
crap.
just like soaked
A
it in.
shower after a hot shower after camping?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. And on top of that, I don't want to go like too much into this, but that morning I had just gotten an email from the about the car wreck.
Oh.
And it was like basically what the other person is like trying to claim
Yeah.
for damages.
Yeah.
And that was rough. That was a rough email to read that morning. I think it's gonna end up being fine, but yeah, there was a lot on my mind that day. So
You had service out there?
yeah, it's not like too far away from like, it's not like way off the grid. It's just that site is rough. Yeah. But yeah. So it was good. It was
Nothing
good.
like time with the Sobolewskis.
Nothing like it, dude. Nothing like it. I really didn't get to contemplate anything until like the plane ride back. That's like when I really just I don't know.
Process.
Yeah, I just processed everything. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It never gets easier leaving, dude. It like never does. It sucks.
That really is like your mantle. Like it's your like battle. It's like your weight to carry.
It is, dude. It's like so weird.
It never like you haven't grown out of it. It's never been like something where you're like, oh yeah, this time it was a little bit better. Like I'm
Yeah.
okay being alone. It's never like that. It's
Never,
always
yeah.
like this is just as sucky
Yes,
and
dude.
painful as like
Yeah.
the first time I went to Sagu.
And it always like it just hits me like a train. It'll be like the last day, and just like little things that happen. Like my younger brother comes and like hugs me or something, and I just want to freaking cry. You know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't. And I want to get like the inner part of me wants to get super emotional and
Yeah.
like depressed and like
Yeah.
poor me.
Yeah.
But I've just had to like really train myself like, okay, no, like you're fine, Zach, relax.
No, it's tough because
So-
it's like I resonate a lot with that because I think as human beings, it can be really easy at certain times. Everyone has that. Like everyone has that thing that like gets to them,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really easy to maybe like analyze ourselves and one, throw like a pretty big pity party for ourselves.
Yeah.
But also two, maybe on the other side of that is, maybe minimize how big of a deal it is to us.
Mm.
And so I think like
Like in an unhealthy way.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like, oh, like suck it up. It's
Yeah.
not that big a deal. I think there's like maybe a happy medium where it's like, hey, and this is what I've kind of realized just in the last few days. It's like there genuinely are people that are going through so many worse things
Yeah,
than me.
yeah.
Like not just like around the world, like people that I know.
Yeah. Right.
I don't have to go very far to find someone who's genuinely suffering
Right.
objectively more than me. And at the same time, like God genuinely does care for the things that make me upset.
Yeah.
He does.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he holds us to like, I think suffering is like a big part of that. Each person has
Yeah.
something different that gets to them that they suffer
gets them.
for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, there's varying levels for sure. Like losing a loved one is really different than I don't know, like
A lot of things.
a lot of
Yeah,
things. There's levels, right?
Yeah.
And I also think it's important. I found it important in myself just to acknowledge like this does suck,
Mm-hmm.
and that's okay. I don't have to throw this like Jesus glitter on it, like Taylor says, or I don't have to like always have this positive spin. It's like this is really hard
yeah.
for me right now, and I'm gonna acknowledge that. And even though I may feel like I'm falling into that pit or melancholy or self-pity or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I can also know that there are things in my life that I am really grateful for, and there are people that would kill to have the things that I have, literally.
Yeah, right.
And I don't think that humans are grateful for things as deeply as they are when they're genuinely suffering. Like it just kind of makes you awake to the things that you do have.
Yes. Yeah. I totally really like resonate with that because that was exactly almost what I did this time. Because it hit me pretty bad this time, like worse than I was expecting it to.
Mm.
Last night, and like we were just driving back from seeing my sister and her husband Ali and JC. They were on the pod, but she's like, "Dang, like I gotta leave again." And last night, I just did that. I was like, okay, like this sucks. I'm just gonna allow myself to like be emotional right now. Just okay, like just take it in.
Yeah.
Allow like yourself to feel these things, right? And so it was literally just as simple as like I just laid in my bed and just like took it in. And then also on the plane ride back, like just like
held it.
Just like held it there.
Yeah.
But then like as the plane's arriving and everything, like as I know I'm coming back to this the grind, right? And like whatever. It's just like okay. Like I'm good, like there's still a lot of work to do. So and I like genuinely felt like fine. So
it's funny, like I think this is something that our generation is like known for. Is like making these distinctions, right? Because like our parents are typically the generation that's known for like the suck it up.
Mm-hmm.
They're the suck it up generation, right? And like, perhaps some people would say that our generation is more towards like the, just, woe is me.
Yeah.
Everything that you feel is valid.
Yes.
But I think that there is a large majority of Gen Z who find that happy medium and are able to say like, yeah, I do need to suck it up. And this also sucks.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I felt like it was funny because I was thinking about it today. There's just like a funny connection. Like when we were kayaking, like when you're kayaking for a long freaking time, bro, and you get to that point where it's like the first hour after just constant kayaking, like your arms, like they hurt.
Yeah.
They freaking hurt.
Yeah.
But then at a certain point, if you just like keep going, your arms almost become numb and you just don't even feel it anymore. You're just going.
Yeah.
And I remember like me and Benji were joking about that, like after the whole kayaking trip. Then it's funny because like when you get to that point where your arms are like numb and you can't feel it, as soon as you stop, it's like the pain sets in. And so you just have to like, you almost just have to keep going. Like you just got to keep going. You just can't stop really.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I felt like, with this whole thing is that there just comes a point where I just have to like turn those feelings off. You you know, and just like, all right, dude, like keep going, you know.
Mm.
Maybe not turn them off. Like that might just, I don't know, that might be, like you said, like it's important to acknowledge your feelings, but
You didn't like you acknowledged them, but you didn't let them consume you.
yeah,
I think is a
yeah. But it was just, it was just like, I don't know, like on the plane ride back, I just had like a moment of excitement because I don't know, dude, like this whole grind, like we talked about in the last episode and everything, I feel like I can see like the end. Like the end is like coming into view. And it's just like that last, I don't know, however long it takes. I feel like we're coming towards the end at least. I don't know why I feel like that, but
of what?
of like just like with this whole dream and like what we're trying to build towards. I don't know. Yeah.
What do you mean?
Just-
Like, what do you mean? Like, you feel like
I just
you
feel,
feel like
these
there's like
last
a breakthrough coming, or you feel like you just see the light, or what?
yeah, kind of like that. Like I feel like these last 5 years has just been so much of a grind
Dude,
to where it's like I'm almost numb. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like sometimes I just go through days. I'm like I don't even
yeah.
like feel anything. You know. Instead when I go home now, sometimes
Oh, I
it's
see what you're
just
saying.
like oh my gosh.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and then when I have to leave again, it's like that pain hits. Like damn, dude, I miss home. Like I miss my family. But yeah, so I don't see being numb as like a bad thing,
Right.
really.
Yeah.
It's just like what it is, you
Right.
know. It's just what happens, and
Yeah, I
it's
think
just part of the grind.
I think maybe another way to describe it too is it's almost like momentum. You're kind of in like the flow
Mhm.
of the grind. Like you get to the point, like it takes so much effort and work to like get to that point.
Yeah,
Where
like in a
you-
rhythm.
Yes,
Yeah,
where you
yeah.
are in a rhythm. And then, you know, when you break out of that rhythm, it kind of shocks you a little bit.
Yes.
And then it kind of takes a little bit more to get back into it. But it's that rhythm that really carries you through the tough
Mhm.
times, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's interesting that you say that about feeling like you're seeing the light. You know, I was listening to this guy, Myron Golden, who I was a little bit weary of at first because I thought he was going to be like a prosperity kind of type guy. And some may argue that he is. He just talks more about business, but he talks about it through like biblical principles. And there may be some, you know, there's like some applications where I would maybe be like, not like 100% agree on that, but I would say overall, I've enjoyed his perspectives and I've enjoyed there's a lot of stuff on YouTube. And I've really enjoyed his business talks with the Bible, but also his Bible talks. And one of the ones that he talked about was like, it's a little bit of like self-help mixed with the Bible.
Okay,
But
yeah.
he really, I think, does a genuinely good job, at least in terms of people I've also heard. He does a lot better job than most people that I've heard. And you know, he was doing this breakdown of Psalm 23, and it's kind of one of those things that most people know
Yeah.
about, like going through the valley of the shadow of death. And he like just revisited it in a way that he kind of painted a picture that I hadn't really thought about before, because I just kind of go through it sometimes and I'm like, okay, God's with me, like this is tough, but like he's with me, he's gonna set a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
My head's anointed with oil, my cup's gonna overflow. Yes, like leads me on the right path for his name's sake. Okay, cool. But he like really slowed it down and broke it down of like, okay, the main point that I got was you kind of work and you get to this point where you're on this mountain of just enough. And then it's like just enough for for me to get by, just enough for me to feel safe, just enough for me to be okay. And he related it to like where like Abraham was, or like where David was when Abraham was given a promise. And then David was anointed and like, said he was going to become king of Israel. And then you go through this valley to get to the mountain of more than enough. And he walks you through the psalm because the beginning of the psalm is, let me see if I don't want to butcher this.
I get the psalms mixed up sometimes. Isn't like Psalm 123 another popular one?
Yeah. It is. 23. Yeah, so the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He leads me on the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. So he kind of like paints this picture of, he breaks down each verse and shows how this is like David saying that he satisfies me. Like he's enough for me. I don't lack anything. And he makes the contrast too, because the next few verses are, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. And your rod, the rod is discipline, the staff is guidance. But he makes this distinction where like you're on this mountain of just enough of like I don't like I'm satisfied, right? But then you're gonna go through this valley of uncertainty, just the same way that Abraham left and went to the land of Canaan, but he left Ur, like he left his homeland, he left everything that he knew for a promise, and David, had great success in defeating Goliath and killing tens of thousands for Saul, and then Saul turned on him. Yeah. He lost his best friend Jonathan. He was hunted down by Saul, and then Saul eventually died, and he was finally made king. Yeah, like Joseph was anointed to rule over his brothers, and then he was freaking put into slavery. Yeah, like he was recounting as those being the valley of the shadow of death for those people, and was talking about how you got to remember the promise. You got to remember like what God has spoken to you, even though it may seem like there's nothing really going on, or that you're really struggling. And then he kind of makes this contrast between the very first part where you're satisfied, this mountain of satisfaction, and then you make it through the valley, and then you come back up to the mountain of more than enough. Because now it's like, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And I just never thought about it like that. I just kind of thought it was like each part I would just sort of think about of like, oh yeah, like I feel like I'm going through the valley today. Yeah. Right. Or like, Lord, you're enough for me. Or, Lord, you're bringing me to this thing. But I never saw it as like a full story before. I've never looked at it that way. I think it's kind of similar to how Dallas Willard did the Sermon on the Mount. We sort of think of each of those stories as singular lessons, but then he brings it all together and shows you how like it's a greater story of the kingdom. And it just really hit me today.
Gosh, dude. That's why the Bible's so good.
So good.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, dude. I feel like I don't know why like this is like such a big correlation in my mind, but it is like with the whole kayaking thing. But I remember on the kayaking, like on our little trip, it like there's a point where like you just start and it's a long way to like until you eventually turn and go like around this island.
You guys are in the ocean.
Yeah, we're on the Gulf, yeah.
Dang.
And so you go around like we get to this like beach on the island, We stayed there for like a couple hours. And then so the kayak trip back, like I just remember coming back around the island, and then you just have like this stretch. It's like the final stretch, and you can see like where we launched at the beginning, and like it's so far away. Like you forget how, like I just remember I'd forgotten how long that like initial stretch was. And me, Michaela, like Benji and Nathan were just like, just going, bro, forever. And I don't know why, but like in my mind, that's how I feel right now. It's like we've just been like going and going and going, and then now it's like we can like kind of see the end of like goal.
Yes.
It's like on the horizon.
Yeah.
You know? And like I feel like we still have a long way to go. But it's like we can see it. And that just feels good. I don't know. It's like, okay, like I'm ready to take on this next phase.
Yeah.
You know,
It
it's like
almost
a
feels-
challenge.
It really, to me, almost feels like the fourth lap of the mile. Like
Yeah.
on the track.
Yes. Yeah.
When you're just like, yes.
Yes, dude.
And you just have to dig deep
Yeah.
and
Just gotta keep going.
finish the race.
Yeah.
So cliche.
I know. Yeah.
But I've really been enjoying this biography of Dallas Willard. Dude. Man.
It sounds like it's been pretty good, dude.
It is like the exact book that I've needed right now. Because Dallas Willard's someone that I really admire, and he's always described as a man who was not just intellectual, like not just an intellectual giant of academia, because he was a doctorate of philosophy at USC for like 40 years, a tenured professor. He was department chair for a little while. Like, dude was he was described as, so just to give you a perspective, like, you know, Zach and I, we kind of know Dallas Willard for his theology, sort of like more of his, at least the videos that I watch, he's always talking about the kingdom of God.
Yeah, yeah.
But he was known as the person with the most like breadth of teaching the philosophy at courses at USC.
Really?
Yeah, like he had the most span, I forget the word they use. But you know, teaching like history of philosophy, history of religion and philosophy, and like all these other philosophy classes.
That's so crazy because I feel like he's kind of underrated at least in the Christian world.
Dude, right?
Like I feel like he should be up there, like all of his quotes or whatever should be up there with C.S. Lewis and
like A.W. Tozer.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, he definitely. So it's really interesting because to see like how his philosophy developed to where all the other people around him in the department at USC were people that were like anti-realist, and thinking like that you couldn't really know something for sure existed. Like only if, you know, my mind perceives this screen or this light or this camera, then it exists because I perceive it. And Dallas Willard's like, I disagree. I think that things exist objectively. And he draws that conclusion to Jesus. And like believing that the Trinity is an interpersonal, real relationship that you can have. Like you can talk in prayer and Jesus comes right up to you. Like it's that real. And I think a direct result of that belief in him, because I think A.W. Tozer says the single most important thing about a person is what their idea of God is. Because that will determine their life. Like, do you believe God's melancholy or do you believe God's joyful? Do you believe God can be known or do you believe he can't be known? Do you believe he's a loving God or just a vengeful God? that really determines how you live your life.
Yeah.
And to get to the end of his life and like the 50-year-old plus Dallas Willard was really the time that he was like, to me, this spiritual giant is how I see him.
Mm-hmm.
He probably wouldn't have seen himself that way because he was so humble, but genuinely every person that I was reading that met him was like in awe of how much attention he gave to each person when he was doing like amazing work, both in teaching, preaching, and writing. He would give his students, he would do these like Renovari Institute courses in person for like 2 or 3 days. He would give like each person such attention and love of like knowing that you are the only person that he cares about right now. And was just a guy that probably said yes a little too much.
Yeah.
You know? And his wife and other people around him were always trying to say like, Dallas, you gotta say no. Like you gotta focus on these books, like get these books out. But he would like, he was down. He really was. Like he would go and travel to meet these people and do these courses that like his repertoire or his academic influence, technically he shouldn't have gone and done or whatever. He would go and do it. And to me, I just respect someone so much more when they live out what they're teaching.
Mm-hmm.
When they genuinely live out and believe what they're teaching. And so that's just really had a profound impact on me. And he also went through a lot of heartbreak. Like he lost his mom when he was like 2 years old, and his stepmom like didn't want him as a kid and like kicked him out made his father kick him out and go live with his brothers, and kind of was like almost a foster kid type deal.
Yeah.
A little bit. And it was like worked on a farm in Missouri when he was growing up in high school, and after high school, like shouldn't have become this intellectual giant that he did. And then he ended up like, he had kind of a rocky relationship with his firstborn son. And then he had a daughter. And then he actually, him and his wife actually had twin boys that died at childbirth. And
Holy
just
cow.
like really went through some stuff.
Yeah, and you're telling me all like his whole educational
Dude,
like
yeah.
track, which is nuts.
Yeah, I mean, like had a lot in his 20s, had a lot of indecision and anxiety about what he was supposed to do.
Well, was it him who, like the first college he went to, like he figured out it wasn't accredited, right? So
yeah, he did a whole 4-year degree and started teaching, like got a job teaching. Him and his wife got a job teaching and realized that, and they like ended up getting let go because they realized that their college wasn't accredited.
Dude, that would suck.
So I had to go back to school, went to Baylor.
That's so crazy.
I mean, I think probably for his entire 20s, he was probably just going to school. And working, part-time as a pastor and teacher.
Yeah.
And had kids.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Do you remember when he was born? Does it say?
He grew up during the Great Depression.
Okay.
Pretty sure. So
And he died not too long ago.
yeah, it was
right?
like 2012-ish. Yeah, he died about 15 years after The Divine Conspiracy was written.
Okay, yeah.
Published.
Yeah. What a book. Dude, so it's interesting, speaking of the whole like kind of what was in during his time as far as education and everything, with like not being able to like really know something, right? All that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of that, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure a lot of that stemmed from atheism, right? And kind of like
I think so.
or I guess more like enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That sounds more right.
And dude, I've been okay, this was a few years ago, but okay, I'm gonna try to like explain this well to the best of my ability because I haven't thought about this in a while. But I just remember thinking about this whole like new age thing that we've been talking about recently a while ago, because I had some friends who I grew up with in church, like, and they were, they were like church all-stars. They were, they were doing like all the fine art stuff, all the human videos, all that, right?
Okay.
And then they fell away and
Mhm.
like moved away, and then one of them specifically, I just had his name right here. He mentioned this dude named something Ron. Oh, that's not right. Richard Rohr. Rohr. R-O-H-R. Richard Rohr. I'm gonna say Rohr. Have you heard of him? Dude, super interesting stuff. It's like, let me read you this post. So
He's like still alive?
I think he is. I think so. So this is just like give you like a feel for the language.
Okay.
And like, okay. So this was a post that this person made, and it says, some final thoughts on prayer. He said, I pray to life itself because I am life itself, a small part of its greater whole. When I connect with it, it always leads me toward goodness. Oh, frick. When I open up to it, it always guides me to truth. I am one with life, and life is always loving itself. Richard Rohr uses religious language to teach something very similar, saying, God is always recognizing God's self in you and cannot love it. I don't know what that means.
What?
I don't know what that means. I don't know if that was a typo. I don't know what that means. And then he says, prayer, regardless of a deity being involved or not, can lead you to this state of oneness. This is the space I believe some of my heroes were in. The Buddha, Jesus of Nazareth, Gandhi, St. Francis, probably Martin Luther King Jr. too, and countless other historical and current figures who learned to transcend the ego and enter into oneness with love. The flow of life is the flow of love, and I am one with life.
Whoa.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
And so when I saw this friend of mine start saying stuff like this and making all these posts, whatever, I kind of did like a little dive into Richard Rohr and kind of his teachings and everything. I watched all these like seminars he was at, and I think I read a little bit of the books he had written, and it's just like it's kind of like what we were talking about a couple weekends ago, how it's like it's so, a lot of the language and like teachings is so like Christianity and like Jesus' teachings.
Yeah.
But it's just like off by like 1 degree.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's just a slippery slope. Like it just turns into that slippery slope.
Yeah, I agree.
Where you're kind of like going down this path that's not exactly biblical,
Right.
or like what really Jesus was teaching.
Yes.
So, but it sounds a lot like Jesus, like in his teachings. And I remember, this was back this is probably 3 years ago, when I was still with, a past girlfriend, or whatever. And I remember talking about it and saying, dude, I really think this is gonna be a really big, I don't know if problem is the right word for Christians or whatever, but I think it's gonna be a big challenge, yeah, for Christians, because that way is so easy.
It is.
It doesn't require,
dude.
It's like what we've talked about so much, where a lot of religion now, and because we're talking about how atheism is just not as popular anymore. Like from
Yeah.
what I see and like from what I hear on
Dude.
social media, what I talk to with people, like most people believe that there's like at least some kind of higher power.
Yes.
Whether it's
bro.
nature, whether it's like
Yeah.
God, whether it's something like an
Yes.
energy, or yourself, the universe, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But where was I going with that?
You're gonna say that is what is becoming more popular.
Yes. So I just lost my entire train of thought. I'm running on like 3 hours of sleep, dude. Gosh. Anyways, yeah, I really feel like that is gonna be is becoming a big challenge. Oh, that's what I was gonna say, because we're talking about how like atheism is kind of dying off, and now people are wanting to like take all like the easy like good things from Christianity and like religion
Yeah.
without like the serious commitment, you know?
Dude. Yeah. Yeah. I think it is so much easier to just take things that Jesus says about loving others and turn it into like take the love side of Jesus and never look at the truth side.
Yeah.
That's how it feels to me. Because and I think that's kind of what the prosperity gospel does too. It's like you just take the parts of Jesus that say that you'll be
that
blessed,
feel good.
that feel good.
Yeah.
And for me, awesome. For me, I feel like, again, and this is just like from what I've experienced in the last few weeks, I have definitely felt the other side of just the hard truth. And it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, dude.
Yeah.
Like, just looking at the people, that I admire right now, but also the ones that in the Bible that I admire that are long gone.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of them like had to go through something.
Yeah.
And it typically was not very fun. And I'm like kind of realizing the reality of that. And dude, I've been so humbled. These past few weeks. Just realizing like how selfish I am and how arrogant I can be and prideful. And how easy it is to just sit and be an armchair quarterback. And I feel like God has been saying like dude, you asked for this, and you're complaining about it sometimes, and look at all these other people that are going through things way harder than yours, and they're still like showing up every day. And it's just kind of like this thing of like, I love you and I see you and what you're going through is valid. And if you really want what you've been praying for and what you've been working towards, I know it's a shock right now, but this is what is required.
Yeah. Yeah.
The good news, the bad news is that there's going to be some more suck before it gets good.
Yeah, for sure.
But the good news is, if you just take it one day at a time, eventually, you will make it out of this valley and you'll make it up to the mountain of
Exactly.
more than enough.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the good news.
Yeah.
And that he's with us through that. Like his gift to us is his presence.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like this whole like oneness teaching or whatever, it's like it just feels like it's trying to avoid
Mm-hmm.
the suck,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And like, everyone wants to avoid the suck. You know, that's like human nature. I don't want to go through the suck.
Yeah.
you know?
Me neither.
Like the trials and the valleys.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's a good point, dude. But yeah, I really do think that's going to be a challenge for believers, like in the coming years.
Mm.
Because how do you, like, just as a Christian, it's hard to, I don't know.
It's tough because
It's hard to make the distinctions
Yeah.
clear.
it is because they use language that is so like floofy,
Yeah. Yeah.
and there's not a lot of definition to it.
yeah.
It's sort of like subjective, almost like subjective language. It takes a
Yeah.
lot of mining with them of like, okay, well, what do you mean by like love? What do you mean by life? What do you mean by these things?
Yeah.
To kind of get down to the root of what they're really saying. And sometimes they don't even know what they're saying. And so it's really hard to like, how do you refute this
Yeah.
when it's just, there's no definition to this language, or I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's such a mix too. Like you have to study like a little bit of Buddhism, a little bit of Hinduism,
Dude, yes.
a little bit of like Taoism and New Age, and it's all like a little bit of Christianity, and then they put it in this pot, and they just kind of like do to each, just like pick from each one at different times.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to keep track of which lane they're in.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, dude. Yeah. So do you feel like you're kind of coming out of this valley, or are you still still in it, dude? Still in it? I feel like I'm in a valley, dude. Gosh.
I feel like I'm just coming to coming to grips
Mm.
with the fact that this is not going to get easier.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm almost having to kind of grieve. Again, like perspective's everything, but this is just my experience right now. Like I really feel like I have to grieve the time of life that I'm just now coming out of,
Yeah.
and realizing like what is required of. It's a really humbling thing when you realize that you're doing your best and it's not enough,
Yeah.
and that your best has to get better.
That's tough.
It's
That's
a
tough pill to
really,
swallow.
yeah, because like I want to think that I'm strong. I want to think that I'm capable. And then I look at scripture and it's like, rejoice in your weakness because my power is shown through it. And it's like, when you see all these things where it's like God is saying, duh, you're not enough. Like, duh, you can't handle it.
Yeah.
Like, what the whole point of me allowing you to go through this valley is so that you will kind of wake up a little bit and realize that, oh, I have been selfish. Oh, I have been maybe a little lazy at times, or I have been prideful or arrogant at times. And he's like, Peter talks about it being like this refining process, like gold, and you're like refined by fire. And again, like perspective, like we're not being like beheaded, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it still kind of sucks
Yeah.
for me,
Yeah. sure.
at least right now. And so, yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
patience kind of has to do its work.
yeah. It really is crazy though, dude. How far we've come.
It is, bro.
Okay.
And I realize, Zach, like, genuinely, you are such a blessing, because I realize that I have to have more of these talks more often now, because it reminds me of the promise.
I know, same, dude.
It reminds me of like, oh yeah, that's why I'm doing this. Seriously.
Seriously, yeah.
And it is crazy.
Because I was literally thinking about it today. Like, I mean, dude, a little over a year ago, we started the podcast on your phone. And like, I know, like we've said this on camera so many times, but like, and we had this dream
Yeah.
to have a freaking podcast studio and a cafe, like on the second floor, and like, we're like almost there, bro.
And we had no idea
Zero.
how
None.
it was going to happen.
None. And then literally a little over a year later, I am meeting you at a cafe, dude. That like, I mean, we don't own it, but like,
It's
it's like,
we're a part of it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I went up there and just like sat on the second floor, did some work. I was like, holy crap! It's like I'm here, like I'm freaking here. Like we're all here.
And it's so
That's insane.
it's
dude.
so easy to just like move past that
Yeah.
and focus on the all the things you can't control or all the things that you got to do still.
Yeah.
And that's what I was talking to Taylor last night, and like that's what I'm struggling with is I'm like grasping in the dark for certainty. So
Yeah.
like I'm like I just
Yeah.
just make it more certain, just make it less risky, just make it more and God's like I am the certainty.
Yeah. I could definitely see like every step of the way, especially with this whole Omega thing. So much of it, like every step, it's like it just kept sounding like too good to be true.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see it in you too, where it was just like this, like, okay, we're gonna move forward, but like not try to get our hopes up too much, because
Yeah.
at any moment it feels like the rug could just get pulled from under us. And it still feels like that sometimes.
Yeah.
But if that happens, like, okay, that would suck. That would suck, but after all this time, like we're to be where we're at now is crazy.
It is, and I even brought it up to Coach Carter the other day, and like that's part of it too. Is like I haven't been able to go to jiu-jitsu as much as I'd like, and there's parts of my life that are changing in ways that are like shaking me up a little bit, and I already don't really go enough. And I was just like, man, I just got to be honest. I was like, Coach, like we're trying to start this thing that we talked about. And he was like, what? Like, wasn't that only like a year or so ago that you guys were talking about it? And I was like, yeah, actually it was. Like, and he said the same thing that you just said. And I was just like, Coach, like I'm going to do my best to be here, but like maybe for a season I might not be here much, and that like that sucks because like I was doing really good, and so Taylor really encouraged me the other night of like just realizing like, okay, what are you going to do about it? Like this is not, you've committed to this, and it's not really going to like change to get easier to like relieve this pressure. The only thing that can change is you right now. And it's like, okay, so what are you going to do about it? Because like, yeah, I definitely have times throughout the day where I'm like really in my head a lot. And it's a battle right now for me, for sure. And like having people in my life like you, like Taylor, like my parents even are so amazing and so supportive. And one of the most humbling things lately for me has been like honestly showing that weakness and like being honest about like I don't know if I can handle this.
Yeah.
I think for a man especially, it's tough. It's really tough because everything that you're sort of taught or sort of like is innate is like you never like put yourself in a position to, or never admit that like you may not be able to handle something.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to like I don't, deep things of like protection or provision
Yeah.
or
Yes,
whatever.
dude, yes.
That's like a really big thing for
Mhm.
men, especially.
Because it makes you feel like you're showing weakness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed is like people in my life that genuinely care about me, when I am just honest about how tough it is, they're sort of like, oh, I've never really seen some people in my life like, oh, like I've never really seen you struggle this much.
Mm-hmm.
Like this must be a big deal to you.
Mm.
And it sort of is like, it's humbling for me to be in that
Like
place.
vulnerable.
Yeah, I
yeah,
feel really vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm someone that like, I can be vulnerable with people.
Yeah.
But I've never
yeah.
felt this vulnerable before. I always kind of like to compartmentalize my life a little bit and like, I'm never going to like really post on Instagram until I have something to celebrate or like, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
then like really having to humble myself and be like, I don't know if I'm going to make it like another day in this, but I know I need more support.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
And it's like,
Yeah.
it's freeing and scary to be that
Yeah.
real.
Yeah. But also extremely rewarding when you make it. When
Oh.
you make it out.
Yeah. I haven't experienced the rewarding side yet, but I believe you.
But that's yeah.
I believe you.
That's just like I try to remind myself. It's all gonna be worth it.
It is, dude. It
Yeah.
is, and it's like someone's like holding a mirror up to my face and is like, "Hey, remember all these things that you said that you wanted to do, and that this is who you are, and this is all these things, your calling, or whatever. Like, it's time to like put your
Yeah.
money where your mouth is."
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Because before this, it's just like, well, this is a cool dream, and like, I don't know how it's gonna happen, but we're just taking steps in the right
Yeah.
direction.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the steps like start to actually become real.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, wait a second,
Not as easy as
wait
it's
a
not
second.
It's not all rainbows and butterflies.
This was like a
dude.
lot easier when I could just talk about what I wanted to do,
Yeah.
and now I have to actually do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's the line, right? It's like, be real about what you're going through.
Yeah.
And some people don't have anyone in their life to turn to, like, genuinely, which
Dude, yeah.
is so crazy to think about. And I can't imagine how lonely and
Dude, I think about that all the time. If I didn't have you guys, like you, Nathan, and like all the people that have like helped me along this journey, dude, I would have gone back home like after a week, bro. Like, I would not have made it.
so much respect for people that like, honestly, so much respect for Pastor B, like from moving
Yeah.
his family here to Round Rock to start the church. I've just had like
In a
such
hotel, it's pretty wild.
and like not knowing anyone here with kids, that's
Yeah.
wild.
That is wild.
And just like getting these random jobs just to do this thing that he felt like,
And after having a pretty solid job.
and a lot of success. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just have so much more respect for that. And
Yeah.
people who do those types of things. It's just become a lot more real to me. It's honestly caused me to have a lot of empathy.
Mm.
A lot more empathy for people. So I guess it's a plus. It's a plus.
Yeah. But yeah. It is like these, like even like these talks like off camera, dude, that like the last one we had at Canes, I watched it and I
so
was like,
bad.
bro, I needed that.
I need that so bad. It does. It just gives you like enough energy to get through just a little bit more.
Yeah.
And you know, like my hope is, I think our hope is that someone who's listening or other people eventually will be able to look back on this podcast as like a documentary of, because like, you know, these episodes are like not the most polished or put together, or
Yeah, they're not
Whatever.
like
it's not like a real show that
No.
like we're just literally showing up and trying to be as real as possible
yeah
with what
yeah.
we're interested in and what's going on in our lives.
That is literally it.
That's literally it. That's like all we can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, I mean, dude, you just came home from a week-long trip and you were down to get a podcast in tonight. Like, there's not many people who would do that, seriously. And I just hope that people can watch right now, or, you know, if you're going back through and watching this journey, I just hope it inspires you. Like, I just hope that like some part of this can give you just enough energy to get through what you're going through. Because this is the second floor experience. Like, this is us sitting here and being like, I'm not at the beginning and I'm not at the end. I'm just in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm like just in the middle of the story.
Yeah.
There's no like really cool conclusion or like really crazy
yeah.
ending.
It's just like those moments in college, like when I have a freaking 8-page paper due the next morning that I haven't started, but like everyone's in the room and you just have, it's that campfire effect
Yeah.
where it's like it feels like the world around you is just falling apart.
Like, you didn't really sleep last night. You just finished a domino shift.
Yeah.
You're cracking a nos.
Yes, dude.
And you're like, dude, I don't know how I'm going to finish this paper. I don't know how I'm going to finish this semester. I might fail this class if I don't get this paper done. But
But here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah.
in somehow,
just
some
vibe.
way, I'm going to get through it.
Yeah. That is the second floor experience. That's like, that's like I don't know how to describe it. It's like the real like root of second floor.
Yes, dude.
Just being able to be real.
Man, one of the most like tangible moments that just came to my mind was, this had to be like the second week of school, like in my freshman semester. And like, it was so early on that like Reed's bed was still like not, it wasn't lofted. It was just like a single bed, and like your
My
bed,
desk was
your desk was up.
Sideways.
Yeah, and you were like playing God of War, and I was like sitting on Reed's bed, and he was just like, you know, hey man, like, how you doing? I think I was like, I had just gone through that breakup,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just like, you know, everything was so new, college, and you know, you guys were like new friends, and I didn't really know what, you know, I just lost this relationship that I just spent the last year. Like, I thought I was going to get engaged to this girl, and you know, my mom's kind of mad at me, her mom's mad at me, and I'm just like so like raw, you know?
Yeah.
And Reed's just like, you know, he's just comforting me. He's just like, you know what, man, like, you're with us.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
we're gonna be here for you. And like, you're gonna get through this. Like, God's got you. I can't even remember what he really said, but like, I remember how it felt.
Yeah.
And it was just like a big brother was like, I got you.
Reed's good at that, dude.
Gosh.
He's good at that.
He is, man.
It's good to have those friends that like just check up on you. Sometimes I feel like I'm kind of bad at that. Like I know I'm really good at listening.
Yeah.
Like when someone wants to share,
Yeah.
but sometimes I don't like really think to ask. Cause like I don't know why, I just assume that like if you want to tell me, you'll tell me. You know what I mean? But I'm like terrible at telling people how I feel, and like I'm terrible at describing my feelings, and it takes someone like you or Reed or whatever just being like, "What's going on, man?" You know, and like sometimes it like really has to be drawn out of me,
Mm-hmm.
but like you need friends like that. You need friends like
Yes.
that to
Dude.
just say like, "What's up, dude?" You know.
Yes. Yes, that is so true. So true. Yeah. Mm.
That's what, like, yeah, I mean, it's just crazy, dude, because, I mean, we're getting closer. We are getting closer to this whole cafe thing.
Yeah.
And so to be able to offer that experience to other people it'll be so sick.
And I'll share this too. Like I was at a particularly low moment this week, and I was just like laying on my floor in my office, and I was just like feeling kind of numb, like just kind of feeling like in it. And I really felt like the Lord was saying, like, what if I told you on the other side of this is more joy than you ever thought was possible to experience? And that was just like exactly what I needed to hear, just to get through that moment of like, like, is this worth it to go through? If you knew that on the other side was the satisfaction, the contentment, the fulfillment, the joy you've been longing for,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's worth it.
Mm. It is worth it, dude. That's kind of how I felt like with what I was telling you about at that Mexican restaurant we went to. Like, just like, gosh, dude, like I feel like I'm missing out on so much. I feel like I'm sacrificing
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so much of like my passions or whatever, and that like I'm wasting.
Mm-hmm.
Because like your 20 years, like you're supposed to, that's like when you live, that's like your prime, whatever. But I was just like, no, dude, like I'm working like right now. I'm like building my character.
Yeah.
I'm like developing myself so that like the rest of my life can be my prime, you know? I don't know.
We are, man. I have to cling to that.
Yeah.
Like we're definitely making the most of like our time with what we have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all feel like there's more and that there's a potential here that we're striving to hit before the time runs out.
Yeah. Yes.
And that there is like another level that we can get to
Yeah.
if we're willing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
are we willing to go through what it's going to take, like to sacrifice what's required to get there?
Yeah. Gosh, dude. I just can't get more cliche than that.
You
can
can't. But here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are. It's cliche because it's true. Well, thank you for listening, whoever you are out there. Thank you for listening to us bare our hearts and souls during this time. Seriously. And if you're watching back through and we've made it, and you're seeing the story come about, then welcome. And I hope you've been inspired, and we're praying for whatever you are going through, and we appreciate you being on this journey with us. And we'll see you next time on the Second Floor Experience podcast. Peace.
I want to talk to you. Not now, later. No, now.